What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Joel Friday TV podcast. I am Joel Friday. Bienvenido. Welcome to the show. It is Wednesday, live on YouTube and IG. Shout out to IG, shout out to YouTube. Do me a favor, y'all. Hit that like button, smack it, lay the smack down on the like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we can get the subscribers up and the message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. It is a talk show, so you guys know that you can call in at any point and we can talk about whatever you want and we can get into it. We really have some interesting calls that have been coming in, and I appreciate having that conversation. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes we have a back and forth, and it's all good, all in the name of Jesus. So make sure you guys call in if you want to get it off your chest. Also, if you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV. The link is in the description, or go directly to YouTube, hit the super chat button, send your question or comments there, and I will read them live on air. You know what I mean? I will read them live on air, and I can discuss them over the airways. So you do have that option. If you just want to support the show, that is appreciated as well. So, you know what I mean? We trying to make it happen. So, man, so many things that just be happening. Shout out to the IG. What's up, IG? I'm going to try to pay more attention to the IG chat today. I'll work on that. But I got some stuff I want to share with you guys today. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Because we were talking about on JLP show today about this like integration of women in or JLP was talking about, not the expert segment, but JLP was talking about the integration of like women into these like into the Girl Scouts, and the Girl Scouts into the Boy Scouts, and then they're like this co-ed thing. I realized something about that I want to share with you guys. And I want to really break that down and what that is and what that has done and all that good stuff. So we're going to get into that, and we're going to try to tie it all in to the topic, which is the last option is faith. And if you follow along with me and the Lord speaks through me, then I'll be able to tie that all in. But we're going to try, because you know the enemy is also in the mind trying to interrupt and get some things out too. You know how he do. Whoa. I don't think that's for me. But so I want to start back to probably 96. Maybe 96. No, we'll say like 97, 98. I was like 6 year. Oh shoot, I'm doxing my age if I say that. Too late. I'm like a young kid. I'm under 10, okay? And I'm in karate. Like my mom puts me in karate. And I remember this girl being in the karate class. And I didn't think nothing of it at the time, because I was just a young boy, not knowing nothing. And there was a girl in the karate class. But the karate teacher, I remember him saying that I had to face off against the girl. Like I had to wrestle her. And I remember like it was yesterday, the day he told me that I was going to have to face. He said, listen, tomorrow when you come into karate class, you're going to face off little Jenny. And immediately fear. Not afraid of her, but like, I don't want to fight a girl, right? So I remember going home that day and telling my mom, like, I remember like it was yesterday. And I'm like, Mom, I do not want to fight this girl. And at the time, I didn't really understand what was going on, but I just something in me knew that it just wasn't right. Right? I didn't want to have to, because there was certain like training skills we already kind of had learned, right? Like a certain takedown move, you slam them on the ground, and then you get on top of them to pin them. I knew what I had to do, but the idea of me having to do that with a girl was like insane to me, even as a child. So I was telling mom, I remember I was sweating, telling mom, like, Mom, I do not want to pin this girl down. And mom was like, don't worry about it. I remember exactly what she said, right? She's like, don't worry about it. Just go there and do it. It's not a big deal. Don't make a big deal out of it. But something in me was just like, I couldn't do it. But, I was convinced. And then I went back there the next day, scared, nervous, and everything. Just didn't want to just pin this girl. It really came down to me just being on top of her and pinning her. It just felt awkward and weird to me as a young kid, right? Mind you, I'm like 5'6", whatever. And so I get there and I'm facing off against her. I'm like, oh shoot, here we go. And I do the whole thing. I take her down, boom, get her on the ground, and I pin on. I'm on top of her and I'm pinning her. Right? I got her down, boom, and we're like face to face, and I'm on top of her, and body to body, face to face. Just this weird thing, right? This weird thing, and boom, I win. Right? I pin her down, and after that, I felt so weird. I felt so awkward in the moment. It felt weird. It felt not right. And I remember going home and told my mom I do not want to go back to karate ever again. And I quit that day. And growing up, I always told that story as a funny story. Like, I didn't want to fight against a girl. But as I'm like growing and making sense of things, it was a natural thing in me as a child that's in every child, that something's wrong here. Boys go up against boys and girls go up against girls. Because of course, me as a child, I don't want to hurt the girl, but also I don't want to also be on top of the girl. You know what I mean? Like, that's inappropriate for one, even though you want to call it in the name of wrestling. But at 5 and 6, we're not, you know what I mean? It's just weird. And it was all those things in the moment for me. So I realized that, man, and I was thinking, I'm like, man, even back then, and I'm sure this has been like happening way before me. But I was thinking even then, it's crazy how they were allowing boys and girls to do certain things together. And we're not designed to do certain things together. And it just doesn't make sense, right? But it's been this agenda to push, this co-ed integration thing. Just like back then, it was like the integration of the black and the whites. Whether it was wrong or right, whatever. But it's the same thing that was with the women. Now it's like, okay, now we got to integrate the men and the women into certain things. So I started thinking like, and then I grew up and got into different things. And we also had a girl that was on the football team at one point. In high school, there was a girl that was on a football. In grade school, there was a girl that was on a baseball team. Her name was Heather. She was on our baseball team. She was the only girl that was on the team, and she was in there. Right? She wasn't the best one. She was not even. She was okay. She kept up, but she was like okay. And then fast forward to high school, there was a girl that was on a football team, but nobody would really like touch her or talk to her or even go hard on her because she was a girl. Like, it just always been off. And then fast forward to me being an adult. I'm 29 years old at this time. Not right now. You thought I slipped up. No. I was 29 when I tried out for the police academy, right? I applied for a police academy. And as you know, at this time, girls are in the police department. Girls are, running companies. Girls are pastors. All this is happening, obviously, at the time we live in. But, I go to the police department. I'm in training, right? And I'm gonna explain a little bit of my like what I went through um, in the cop training, in the hiring process. So I went through this whole hiring process. Took me about a year and a half, and in the training portion of it, you had to do a certain amount of sit-ups. You get graded, right? You get graded by a score for those who know, and you got to do a certain amount of sit-ups, a certain amount of push-ups. You got to do a sprint, and you got to do a mile and a half, and you get graded, in total with all that together, and all that together will be dependent upon if you're ready to go to the next level. Like if you're in shape enough to become a cop. So my first training seminar, I kill it in the sit-ups, I kill it in the push-ups, and mind you, I'm 29, and everybody else there is fresh out of like the Marines or fresh out of like college, because I think you got to be 21 to join the police academy. So everybody's like 21, 22, young, right? I whoop everybody in the push-ups, whoop everybody in the sit-ups, whoop everybody in the sprint, right? Killing them. I'm 29. I'm the old guy there. You know what I mean? Killing them. But then when it came to the mile and a half, man, I look crazy. If there was no girls in that training seminar. It was just the guys only. Thank God, it was just the guys only. But if there was girls there, the girls would have passed me up. My mile and a half was so horrible. I didn't even know. I was embarrassed, but it was like a mess. And I look at my results, and I'm like, for one, you got to have a score of 70 to get past. I scored a 66, and it was all because of my long distance. It was horrible. So anyway, I I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, look, I'm trying to do this, so we got to get to work. So immediately I'm like, okay, we got to work on it. Immediately after that, I start running, training. And waking up super early in the morning before work. I was working, this is back when I was working at Bond the first time, waking up early in the morning. Now you guys know I'm up at like 3, 4 in the morning, running, trying to make it happen. And doing it daily. And I went from a mile to 2 miles to 3 miles to 4 miles to 5 miles, blah, 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 right? And I'm running every day daily, trying to get my stamina up, doing my thing. And so I'm prepared for the next training seminar. So I'm doing that. I'm killing it. I'm getting better. I'm getting stronger. Boom. Next training seminar comes. I do the whole thing again. I kill it in the sit-ups, kill it in the push-ups, kill it in the lap, and it's time to do the long distance. Boom. I'm running around, killing it. I did so well in the mile and a half that the guy that was timing it was surprised. He's like, man, I'm looking at the score last time. This time, you worked hard. And I cut my mile and a half down for like 3 minutes from the last one, meaning like 3 minutes faster than I did it the first time. And this was just like in like a 4 or 5 month period. So I made the strides, and there's a reason why I'm like telling you this and I'm giving you guys these details, right? So this time my score was a 78. No, an 88. An 88. So I went from a 66 to the entering score being a 70, but then the second time I got to an 88. So I went from a 66 to an 88. And on paper, I'm looking good, right? So I go to my last interview, right? I'm thinking I'm in. I'm like, the physical trainer loves me. I had a great conversation with the background investigator. He loves me. He was pulling strings for me. I'm like, I'm in. I go to the psychological evaluation, the very last step. And he tells me, look, you make sure that when you talk here, you're honest about what you believe and how you feel about A, B, and C. And I was like, okay. Mind you, at the time I was stupid. So I'm like, he said being honest, and so to me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be honest, right? So I was like in there, like, and mind you, not that this had anything to do with it, but the psychological evaluator, it seemed like he was right? You seem a little feminine. May not be true. May not be true, but you seem a little feminine, right? Like feelings and stuff like that. And I went in there and I was like, and mind you, this is after this is like post waking up bond and everything, right? So I'm like, telling him how I feel. He's asking me questions. I'm telling him about forgiveness, how like I forgive my mom. He's like, what's your relationship with your parents? I told him like I had to forgive them. I'm going in, like saying too much, right? Saying too much because he's not going to get it. And I'm going in telling him everything. And then he asked me about how I feel about women in the workplace. I said, I have nothing against women. I respect women in the workplace, but I don't think that it's their role to be in the police academy. I don't think that they have a role there. And that's really what like probably why they denied me, to be honest, was that. I think, in my opinion, they don't tell you why. Even if you ask, they say they can't tell you why. So, yeah, I told him like, I have nothing against when I work with women, but it's just, I don't think that there is right. So anyway, after that I leave and I don't get it. I try to appeal and they send me on an interviewer to interview me a second time to see like, if I learn anything from the interview. And then they send me a lady. So I'm thinking like, I'm putting two together. I'm like, okay. They see my lady comment. Now they're going to send me a lady interviewer. I told her everything, blah, blah, blah. And they still told me no. So I let it go. Fast forward. King Wesley said, that's the reason why you didn't get hired. Yeah, I think it was the reason why I didn't get hired. But anyway, fast forward. I let it go. I was a little upset. But I let it go. And I'm like, I'm just going to apply somewhere else. But at that point, I had went through so many hoops. You guys don't even know. I'm not even telling you guys the full story. I went through so many. I was in the hiring process for 1.5 years, and it was supposed to only take 3 months. I was going through so many hoops trying to get this approved, this approved, this approved. It was just too much. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm just over it. So a few years later, fast forward to now. Let me show you because I'm pulling up a picture here. Fast forward to now. I'm gonna get you guys super chat. I just had to get this little point out. Oh, Carver says with the super chat says always, 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 but always lie on the psyche. Listen, I just want to say this really quick for anybody who does job interviews and stuff like that. I was so caught up in trying to just be so truthful and so honest. There's a time where you can lie a little bit. I'm not saying you got to fabricate an entire story about your work history, but you don't have to be brutally honest. You can be a little bit, loose with the truth just to get in there, just to whatever. You know what I mean? I didn't understand at the time. I was taking the thing too seriously, but it's okay to be a little loose. And especially on these cop tests because they're expecting you to be perfect, but even they know that they don't really want you to say the entire truth, right? Because everybody's gonna fail if that's the case. But anyway, thank you, Carver. I appreciate it. You're right though. So fast forward to today. I'm scrolling on Instagram. You guys know how I like to scroll. I need to work on it. Might be scrolling too much, but hey, it makes for a good episodes. So I was scrolling and then I see this girl. I'm going to show you her. And as we know about the diversity in the departments, inclusion, integration, co-ed integration, women in the department, you know that it's normalized. So I see this girl, right? And I'm like, she's pretty. She's pretty. Obviously, that's the first thing I'm looking at. She's pretty. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is a Halloween costume. Right? This is a Halloween costume. Come on. She got the Santa things. She got the thing. But I'm like, wait, her tools, her belt and her tools are looking a little legit. How much she paid for this costume, right? That's what I'm thinking. And then I'm looking more at her pictures and I'm like, hold on. This girl, and then I'm reading her captions, and then I'm looking at where I blurted out there. That's her name on her jacket. And I was like, her bulletproof vest. I was like, wait, this girl's an actual cop. And I'm looking at her profile and she's a legit cop. And she comes from this approach of like, I can be a cop during the day, but a lady at night. And she has like these all cute pictures of her looking like real cute and like pretty and sexy. And then during the day, she's like this. But then I was thinking like, man, they denied me and I don't know what kind of work she put in. You know, maybe she worked hard in her in her area as far as women go. I don't know, right? Her background. But I'm thinking like, man, they would not let me in after I worked extra hard. If they knew what I went through to try to like make sure that I was in physical shape, to make sure that I was able to pass these tests, to make sure I did, jumping through all these hoops, all that. Oh, dang, I forgot to mention one keynote. Dang it. Should I go back or continue? I'll make it brief, but I went through all this stuff. I went through everything. Before I got to the second training seminar, I pulled a muscle. I tore something in my knee, right? I don't know if it was I pulled something, tore something, whatever. I messed up my knee. So right after the second training seminar, I tore something. So I did great on it, but then my knees hurt. I couldn't walk. So then I had to start back from stage one. I had to start all over, 1 mile, 2 mile, 3. So I had to build it back all the way back up to the miles before I got hired, right? So just a brief note to explain how like I went through so many hoops to try to get this. Injury, everything. And was denied. And then I seen that girl. And then I was like, wow, I went through all this and yet they're letting in ladies like pretty ladies like this. And like I said, I know nothing about her background, so I can't say too much. But if we're gonna compare it to guys in the force and women in the force, come on. Let's be honest here. On her waist belt, she has a gun, right? On her left side, she has her gun, but 5 inches up, she has her lip gloss. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how tough can we really be if in a situation where my life is at risk because I'm her partner and we're up against criminals, how much confidence could I have in that? Especially if on the job she's taking pictures and she's smiling, being cute and putting lip gloss on. Imagine pulling up to a criminal with lip gloss and a thing and the nails done. Like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm working so hard to get in this and then they're letting the ladies in there that look cute. At the end of the day, yeah, my words, maybe I've said some things that are misogynistic, right? But at the end of the day, if a criminal's fighting against, if a criminal's trying to break into your home, who do you want showing up, me or her? Right? So this is me complaining. This is me complaining, but I point that out because why do they let these things, why do they allow this infiltration? Why do they allow this integration of men and women together? Why do they do it? It's because obviously for the departments and the higher ups, it's about money and power, right? But for, on the surface, it's like to be fair, to give everybody equal opportunity, even if you lower the standards, to do all this stuff. But for the people like the ladies, the feminists, and I'm not saying she's a feminist, but the feminists that want to make it equal for everybody, what are they really saying? What are they really saying? What is their real root issue? Is that they want to prove to them, they're looking for it's a false sense of worth, right? They want to prove to people that they're strong and tough, and they want to prove to themselves that they're strong and tough. And it's not about the job, actually doing the job. It's not about what you can actually do. It's all based around feelings, right? So here's me saying that like it's all based around feelings, and that's not right. They should hire me. I'm trying to do the right thing, and they shouldn't hire the ladies and their lower the standards. It's all about feelings. It's all about feelings. And then I realized, why did I want to be a cop in the first place? Uh-oh. Now we got to get real. Now we got to look in the mirror. Now we got to get serious, get honest. Why did I become a cop in the first place? I only wanted to become a cop because I was in a relationship, a serious relationship, and I knew I wanted to take it to the next level. And I knew that in order for me to do that, I'd have to get a better, like another job, and I'd have to make more money, and I have to do all these things, right? And then it would make me tough. Then it would make me manly. Then I can get a home. Like I was doing this based off of this idea of becoming a husband, being a better man for the girl. For the girl at the end of the day. So what was that based on? My feelings. My false sense of worth. So what does that mean for everybody? I was blinded by feelings. Stepping out of the natural course of life because of feelings. Feminists stepping out of the natural course of life because of feelings. Everybody stepping out of the natural course of life because of feelings. So if we're all blinded by feelings, what is left? What is left? Let go. Stop trying. Stop trying. That was me trying. That was me trying to be a better man. That was me trying to grow up. That was me trying to be mature. That was me trying to do all the right things in the name of Jesus. But that was the problem. That was me trying. That was me trying. So when I say the only solution is faith, is stop trying. Give up. Because keep in mind, sometimes you go blind. As a human being, as a person that's working on themselves, as a person that's still caught up in certain things. So the only option left is to have faith. Let go and just have faith. That's the only solution. And guess what? It's less stress, less this, less that. It's just trust. So all my complaining about the female officers, all my complaining about not letting me in the police academy, all that is silly. Why? When at the end of the day, I was on feelings too. So we got to start being real with self. You got to start being real with self. King Wesley said, let me call in so I can flame you on air again. You didn't flame me last time. Faith, y'all. Faith. That's it. It's less work. You don't got to worry about thinking and trying to figure life out. And I'm still learning this too. I ain't saying that, I'm still learning this. But you don't got to figure life out. You don't got to worry about this or that. God will lead you through all things. All things God will lead you on. And he'll give you just enough not to stress you out. So I hope that all makes sense. I got some calls here. You can call in 888-775-3773. For the rest of the show, I'm dedicated to what you guys think and the calls and the super chats and all that stuff. Let me see. I seen a couple super chats here that I'm about to get to. Man, Chris with a super chat sends the fist bump. Appreciate it, Chris. Always showing love and extending the fist bump. Kel Samogi with the hippopotamus like this. Right on, Kel. I appreciate it. Carver. Always, but lie. We read that one. Lie on the psyche. He's right about that. You know. Terry says she has what it makes to be a cop, and you don't. You better look inwardly, Joel, because you're jealous. Your jealousy is showing. I don't know if maybe she has what it takes. You know what I mean? But here, when it comes to that, I have to disagree, Terry. I don't know if you're joking or serious, but listen. I'm not against females being in the thing. Like if you're a female, you want to be in the police academy, that's fine. But don't lower the standards for them. Let them have to meet the same standards that I had to meet. That way, she's just as equipped. She's just as prepared, at least physically, right? You know what I mean? Maybe she's mentally tough. Who knows? That's like, that's different. But physically, and when I say mentally tough, anyway, I don't got to explain that. But physically, let her have to pass the same test that I have to do. Because if I'm going to have to go against these criminals, the criminals aren't going to be nice to the lady. The criminals are not going to fight nice to the lady. So she has to be just as strong as I am. So if you could be just as strong as me or anybody else that's taking these physical fitness tests, then let them in. But you better be able to defend yourself, and I guarantee it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. And you won't be looking cute either, because your face is going to start looking rough. You're going to start looking tough because you're doing rough and tough things. The movies make you think that you could be rough and tough and strong and a superhero, but still look pretty and cute. No, that's not how it works. All that pretty and cute stuff, your nature, it starts to change your face. Your voice gets deeper because you're developing these things that are outside of your womanly nature. That's why all these lady, female, women WNBA basketball players all look manly. Anyways. But I love you, Terry. Terry's my virtual wife. But anyway. Gonza Choke. I'm coming to your calls right now, y'all. Let me just finish these super chats. Gonza Choke says that girl Joelle pinned beat him up for the cop job. That was probably her. That'd be crazy. Imagine that. I beat her, but she came back and beat me by becoming a cop. Appreciate it. The super chat's there. Right on. But y'all, I'm telling you, ladies, get to know the woman nature. Figure out what that is. Because anything outside of that is going to make you work against what you really want. Everybody want to be pretty, right? All the ladies want to be beautiful and pretty, right? Then you got to start doing the right thing to find that real beauty. Same for the guys. All right. They said they don't all look manly. Thomas said they don't all look manly, by the way. Maybe not. Leo from Texas is on the line. Leo, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
What's going on, Joel? How are you?
How's it going, Leo?
Everything's well. I wanted to ask you two questions. One a relationship question, but the first one is I wanted to ask you your take on hell being a physical place.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. Sorry, I was distracted.
Hell, do you believe that exists, and what is that to you?
Hell, do I believe it exists? Yeah, I do believe it exists. based off of the power we give it.
Yeah.
Um, Hell only exists because at least the power of it, like meaning like the effect it has on people's lives, only because we believe into it. If we didn't believe into it, I've heard people say that it doesn't exist. Hell only exists because we make it exist by belief. But and I'm not too 100% sure about that. But in my opinion, as of right now, I think that it still exists. Satan is still there, but he's just powerless when we don't believe into it.
Okay. Yeah. My take on it is I think it's a setting. I think it is. It seems at this point of my spiritual growth, it seems like it's a setting that seems like life is a setting because I don't believe in free will. It seems like life is a setting
What do you
and
mean by
you have a
life as a
default.
setting?
So you have a default setting
Okay.
and then you become aware, and then once you become aware, you automatically come into the know. And when you come into the know, then you have what we call now, God's nature.
Okay.
And it seems like hell is this state of a setting that is still default, still the default settings. That's what I think about
So I
it.
mean
I don't
meaning
know. I could
like
be wrong.
just so I can understand what you're saying, you meaning like when we're born into the earth, we're born into the hell setting. Everybody is just born into a setting that is of hell. But when you become aware and overcome, or just be aware of God, then God change your settings.
Yeah, once you're aware, not really of God, but once you see the setting that you're in and you can see the suffering in that state,
Mm,
um, it once you see that, you begin to realize, and that's when the awakening happens. It seems because that's how it happened for
uh,
me. I had to realize that I was in hell, suffering, and had to realize that the suffering can stop.
right.
And
And
once I realized that, everything changed. I didn't have to really
mm,
do much but be aware of the
right.
suffering.
Right,
Hmm.
right. And did the settings to like entertain the concept that you made? Did the settings change when you became aware? Like,
An automatic change because it
mm,
you you don't really make a choice. It's almost as if you it it's impossible to like, for example, which kind of ties into my next question.
yeah,
The men, if you were majority of us, you know, really soft and really kind with the women and don't really try to use words that will shake them up too much.
yeah,
But once you become aware, you start speaking like Jesse. You just say it, and because you don't have that spirit, you're not saying it with hate and malice. You're saying it because it's the truth.
right. You're
So
saying
it's
it
an
because
automatic shift.
you're saying it because you see in the moment like you're directed to say it, or what do you mean?
It's like you're guided.
Oh,
That
okay,
once you
okay,
change the setting, because
I
you
see.
realize that the setting was low and you're low, and you're your low self, they say.
Right,
Then there's this automatic shift to
right.
everything is done in the guidance of God because you're
Ah, I
on a
see.
different setting.
I agree. I agree to that. And when you say, and then I'll let you
It's a
answer
no
that.
thinking setting.
You said what?
It's a no thinking setting.
A no thinking setting. And how do you think that
Yeah.
we got there to that point? How did you get? Because if you're saying that awareness is not of yourself, um, and this is just me playing devil's advocate. If you're saying
Yeah.
awareness is not of yourself, how did you, or the changing is not of yourself, how did you become aware to be able to watch yourself to see the change? No.
Realizing that it was a spiritual battle, and when I tried to fight it, um, and I'm like, man, this is absolutely hell. Just you
Yeah.
trying to fight it is you causing the hell, and which goes back to what I was saying. That's why I think that's what hell is. It's a setting.
Interesting. And what do you think? What gave you that realization that you were fighting it, and it was a spiritual battle? Was that of yourself?
Pain causes that.
You said what?
Pain causes that.
So the pain from the hell
Was the
setting,
cause.
the hell setting pushed you to realize that it's a spiritual battle and that you should surrender.
Well, the pain allowed me to see that I was in hell. And then once from there, you realize you're in hell and you're suffering.
Yeah.
That's when you begin to realize that it's a spiritual battle. So it's nothing that I can do.
Right.
It was really just it's just fate, if you will.
Yeah. And the pain came from where, you think, in your opinion?
Uh,
Who gave who yeah, the pain, where do you think that came from?
the pain is a result of the the default. You don't get to choose that.
So do you think that was
You're
God's
gonna go through
doing?
pain.
You think it was
It's
God's
inevitable.
doing? You think it was God's doing that allowed
No.
you or put you through that so you can be aware of it? Or who do you think is
Oh
responsible?
yes. That I definitely agree with that. It's not God's doing, but it's allowing. Because you need this to. If you don't know pain, you won't know it feels. Not that feels good, but you won't know the. Pain is almost like being asleep.
Yeah.
You won't wake up unless you know you sleep. Once you know you're sleeping and you're unconscious, then you can begin to wake up.
So it's okay to your point, it's okay that you may be going through hell or in hell or
Absolutely.
feeling that pain, and you shouldn't feel guilty or feel condemn yourself about being in that place, because there's a lesson to be learned there.
Absolutely. That's why
Right on.
when somebody's on their down, their hard times, I think let them go through that. And my uncle, I remember being on I think I was like 21, 22, and going through a hard time, and my uncle let my other people stay with him, but he wouldn't let me. And I thought that he hated me, and he just knew. He was like, no. And I thanked him for that. And he's like, he made me go out and go get it, and that was amazing, man. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And this guy is not your typical like your role model, man. Been on drugs, probably still on drugs. Cheated on his wife, terrible person.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, he taught me something incredible that no one else taught me.
Right.
He made me go get it.
Yeah, man, 100%. You gotta let people. There's nothing wrong with the pain. I often talk about, as of lately, I've just been talking about being free and live and allow yourself to just go through things, even if it's hell, just so you can, meaning not avoid hell, because there's a lesson there to be learned, and it's not, every God is involved in everything, so we don't have to be afraid of hell or the pain or any of that stuff. Like, there's a purpose for it. But I appreciate it, Leo. I'm running out of time and I have some other calls here. But interesting.
Yeah, I want to
make
a comment. I just make a comment so we don't have to speak on the number two. Men, please, I encourage you guys to pretty please, man up and tell the women what you want and stop giving in to the woman. I've been there. I've been the nice guy, and I've been the guy who leveled up from nice to the guys like, okay, I got some boundaries, and still caved.
Right.
I'm saying we got to stop caving.
That's
please.
Right. But you got to be, I agree, but the only way that's going to happen is if we become the things and not just say them. We got to become them so they're real and we can stand on it. But you're right about it, Leo. I appreciate it. Call me again. Great points.
Yep, I will.
And we'll talk again, man. Thank you.
Great talk. Talk later.
All right. Let me move the calls here. Josh out of Georgia. Josh, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
How's it going, Josh?
Going well. Oh
Nice.
well. I saw you had a definition of faith
Yeah.
earlier in the show today,
Yeah.
and I didn't get to I didn't see that part of the show, but I saw it on my YouTube. Uh, I was scrolling through YouTube. I saw
Yeah.
you were live, and I saw you had the definition of faith on it.
Yeah.
So what was your definition of faith?
So I'll give you the dictionary definition and I'll interpret what I
Okay.
think it believes. The dictionary definition says complete trust or confidence in someone or something. And
Okay.
I actually don't disagree with that definition. I don't know about a person, but it's complete trust, right? And
Okay.
trust and faith is almost trust in something that you're unsure of, but you're sure enough to know that you're willing to find out, right? Because
Right.
it's like falling off a cliff, not knowing the result, but you know that something in you tells you that you'll be fine. But it doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It doesn't mean you don't feel like you don't believe the thoughts. But it's still just trusting that you're gonna be fine, and that's where the power comes from. That's where the power is in the faith, not in the actions, not even having all the evidence that will prove that you won't get hurt. There's no power in that.
Right.
The power is in just hoping and putting your faith in that you'll be guided, and you will.
Right. Okay. Because I thought, so would you, in the biblical question answer on JFTV show, you just said that's power. That's where the power is when you have the faith, right?
Right. I think so.
So I super chatted the show and I said that the power is the faith, and they're really just synonyms for just the energy that comes from God.
Right.
And it's also love. So would you say all these words are really just this like love, patience, faith, discernment? There's all these little things that we've like made all different words for, but it's all just the same thing.
Right. It's
the same thing.
Right. It's all irrelevant. It's all irrelevant because the point is about knowing. The point is about knowing and understanding, right? Like insight from God of these things. And because everybody can say love, but 100 people can have different interpretations of love, right? So why is the word love even important? It's really not other than for us to communicate. But at the end of the day, I can say Satan, right? But if I've been taught all my life that Satan is love and A, B, C, and D, if I believe that that's the case, then it's just a word that people are getting hung up on, but they're not realizing that, no, wait, I actually thought Satan meant love. You know what I mean?
Right.
So words are a mess.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That was it.
Yeah, that's the whole trick, I think. He has us, I think words are the devil's tool.
Interesting.
So, that's why so many people get caught up in words, and it's like, you say you love me, women think a whole, I see it all as the same thing. The love and faith are the same thing.
Right.
It's just, like you were talking with Leo in the last call, like, there's nothing I can do. He said the pain is what caused it, but that God gave him, I don't think it even is the pain that causes you to like see clearly. It's just the faith is the energy that comes from God. Being able to see is the energy that comes from God. Love is the energy. Patience. It's all just the energy that, like you said, ankle baby running on energy from God.
Right.
On loan from God. That's all the same thing, actually.
No, I agree. And the thing is, the great thing about faith that's not like understood, I think, is that what it does is like, it's like the perfect example of taking you out of the equation, your efforts, your control, what you can do, and you can only point to God with it, right? Because it's I'm not, what am I doing of myself to make me have this power? Oh, I'm trusting in God to supply it. So it's just like when people really learn faith and get into it, or meaning like understanding and grow into it, you start to see that it's less about you and more about, it's like the natural humbling thing. It's like you see that it's not you and you point to God, and you have no other choice but to be humble, because you know it ain't, you wouldn't have it if you didn't recognize it wasn't of yourself.
Right. That's, the words are confusing. I thought they were all different things, man. And it sounds like Christian. I know you used to be a Bible thumper, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's, yeah. So I know a lot of people like, I listen to your show and they say, oh, he a little homegrown Christian. It sounds like you're just, but you have to use the words to communicate.
Right.
That's what throws people off.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
But we got to overcome words, so that way we can try our best to just try to see where people are coming from, instead of like being hung up on the things that they're
Judging
saying.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Josh. I'm so out of time. Thanks for
Okay, man.
calling in. Call me again.
Nope. Will do, bro. Thank you, man.
All right. Have a good one.
Yeah. Bye.
Man, I'm like, Rick, let me go to Rick real quick. Rick, make it quick, 30 seconds. I'm pushing it, and I'm like sinful for doing this. Rick, welcome to the show. You're on there. Make it quick. Rick. Law. I gotta go. American Anchor Baby's coming in, y'all. That's it for me. Subscribe, y'all. Share, like, all that stuff. Even if you disagree, just share it. You know what I mean? Like, just, share it anyway. And tell your peoples about the show, so we can get subscribers up. You guys know the message. Joel Friday TV across the board. American Anchor Baby's coming in. You don't want to miss it. I'm telling you. You don't want to miss American Anchor Baby. I'm back here tomorrow for another show. And tomorrow's my last day of the week. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Shout out to the YouTube. Shout out to the IG. I couldn't get to all you guys' messages, but appreciate it. I gotta go. All right, guys. Bye.